What? It's good.
Good. I'm doing well. Good to see you guys.
How would you ever know?
You can come up here and sit, man. Ah.
Yeah, and if you want, you can have a free smoothie and you can enter in their water bottle and everyone's free in that. Yeah, no rush.
That's really good.
I did.
Oh, nice.
That's a classic.
They're so like, more barbecue.
Because that's my problem. I always like, I'm like, I don't know how to say cinnamon.
Just throw them all together,
Like, I
right?
don't know.
Yeah, depends if you want to go savory.
You know, the guy you got there, Marcus?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different.
Hi. There we go. Say hi to Dennis and Kim.
What?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Use your firecracker.
Maybe, we'll see. I have an office to work in if he needs it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
That's just a kid on the block.
Mhm.
That's a good adjusted idea.
Yeah, he gets adjusted every time he gets picked up. It's like, I'll put my hands on him, oh, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, whoops, got a whole lot of place.
That's right.
You get two?
Yeah, they're popping through.
Even with Warren Marsh.
Yeah. He's hitting all the milestones.
July,
early.
August, that's 5 months.
Yeah. Well, he's sitting up, he wants to get in the calling position. He's doing all sorts of
You're getting it everything in the house pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, we come here and have you.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't get there yet.
He'll do great. Oh, you're running, aren't you?
You like your finger too, huh?
Yeah, well, he's teething, so it's something to chew on, right, Bubby?
There's nothing wrong with that, you know, when the old Chinese leaf is that way, the kids get some of their mouth, that's perfectly okay.
Oh, my daughter's still.
She decided when it's time for my son to quit stop, he's gonna stop taking it. They put on those things you find at drugstore, he put his cover his mouth, and kind of come out, and look at it, and right back in. But we changed that, we put Tabasco on it. That stopped.
That stops it.
That stopped.
Oh, shy. A little shy.
And then a couple of
Hide mine, Daddy, and look at everybody. Huge eyes. He's got the biggest eyes of all.
You see a lot of stuff.
Let's keep it open. Right, honey? You see a picture on there? If you like over there, you'll be able to see. You see on me, Joy? Look up, the signs are above that. Other way.
And then like. No, my sister has terrible.
Shall we come have a seat, guys? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. Go ahead and get started.
How you doing, young lady? Like your meal down there? Good food? No, I got enough, thank you. You can eat, it's good for you. I already ate mine, I'm full.
Hi.
How are you?
All right. Long time no see you.
I know, it has been a while.
Better there too, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but your gardening seems to be going great.
Oh, yes, ma'am, that keeps us busy and, well, it keeps, helps us maintain our sanity. You can't do anything with COVID virus around except see the doctor, to get a couple things on natural foods and then rest of the time in the yard. And
So
she and I
true.
like to live in the garden.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the perfect thing to do in these days, because you're getting out,
Is that a picture of Daddy?
natural sun, and
Oh, yeah, we love it.
yeah, that's so awesome.
We enjoy the stuff that comes out of it too.
So do we. So do we.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I think before all is said and done, I'm gonna have to ask each of you to get seconds. Looks like there's a lot of food left. Maybe feed your kids.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So it looks like I'm gonna do the beginning of this with Zeke in arms. You haven't met Ezekiel. This is our newest. We have yet to get a new family picture, but that was us after Annika was a baby.
I got one of those too.
We'll get him in there
Tasty.
eventually, right, Bubby? He's sprouting 2 teeth, so he's trying to work those in on my finger.
He's your mama. He's your
Yeah.
mama.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some Facebook and YouTube watchers behind you, so everybody can say hi to them.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so what we're doing today is we're celebrating the end of our 21-day challenge. So that finished up yesterday, and some of you brought your worksheets in for that. And so Christina is busy tallying those and assigning different raffle tickets to those. So we'll be drawing for the winner of our Nutri Ninja and the supplement package and some other good prizes that we have for you guys tonight. So I'm excited. The 21-day challenge happened to coincide for me with a sleep regression for this guy. So he kind of knocked me off a little bit. When you don't sleep very well, you may not know this, but you start craving sugar more, cortisol levels induce a sugar craving. And so I didn't do quite as well. I still continued my body fat percentage switch over. I lost another 3% body fat over the 21-day challenge. So it's really good. Yep. Yeah, that's great.
Dad.
Men, doesn't think hard enough and drop fat.
I was still working. I still scored points in the challenge. Yeah, supper's already, bud.
Yummy! I want some supper.
Yeah, want some supper. So I'm also going to be taking you guys through movement workshop. So one of the biggest, I do these re-exams on you guys every 12 visits or so. And one of the biggest responses I get on the back of those wellness sheets is that you guys haven't sat through a workshop on exercise or fitness yet. And so this is that. It's all about exercise today. And we'll talk about each of the 5 essentials with that. But really the goal behind any workshop I teach is just to give everybody the opportunity to get healthy. You know, and exercise is essential. If you don't do it, you get sicker. If you do it, you get healthier. It's, you know, one of our 5. And so, you know, it really starts to address the problem that we have in the United States here is that we are too sedentary. And it has led to just about every chronic disease. I'm talking about it right now, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy's talking about it. I'm talking about it. Can you sit down and listen? Or sit by Mama, maybe? Are those guys looking at their phones? Yeah, do people look at their phones too much?
Yeah.
Does Daddy look at his phone too much? Yeah, he does. We all look at our phones too much. especially this generation. And what we're seeing is that less than 85% of teens get enough exercise. And it's not just limited to teenagers. I mean, it's a whole generation of kids, especially the ones that were born with cell phones available to them from a young age. We've just become more and more sedentary. It's not just the kids. I mean, it's the adults too. The average adult working person gets 6.5 hours of seating time every single day. And we know that when you're sedentary, every hour that you sit without getting up and moving is equivalent to smoking a cigarette for its effects on
All
your health.
I want is pie and muffin.
Pie and muffin, those are so good. Do you know who made the pie? Your dad.
Oh,
I love you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a spoon?
Yeah, why don't you get a spoon, buddy?
Okay.
So we have to start to change all this. And some of it starts with just knowing, right? But knowing is half the battle. If all we do is teach you the information, that's all well and good, but it's only as good as how you apply it. So I want to teach you guys a little bit about how to apply that as well. So let's get into this. Our sedentary lifestyle doesn't just start with cell phones and work, but it definitely is exacerbated by that. And what we find is that sitting for that long isn't so bad necessarily on the neck, although the cell phone definitely does that. I've yet to see.
I have a cell phone.
No, you don't. I have a cell phone that I let you use.
I have a phone.
No, I have a phone.
Well, I have a phone too.
Daddy's talking.
I'm talking right now, buddy. So, other than the chiropractic kids that I see in the office, I have yet to see someone under the age of 18 that has this curve.
Really?
They've all lost that curve. And it goes back to the cell phones, it goes back to the tablets, it goes back to the Chromebooks. And it's one of the reasons why if I'm going to attend a PTA meeting at all, or a school board meeting, that's why I'm going. Because it's too much. Our kids' spines aren't developed enough to be able to handle that kind of stress, and then to say for hours and hours we're going to sit like that. Now for people working in this position, yes, the blue light can affect the brain. The real problem comes down here. Because when you sit down, just by sitting, just by being in the position that you're in right now, to be comfortable, you take 10 degrees off of this 45-degree curve. When I measured that on X-ray, I measured it out of 30. If you hit 35 out of 35, you're good because your spine adapted properly. But guess what? Most people that work on a daily basis, they don't just sit for a little bit and their spine go back to 35. It goes back to 0. So it goes back to 20. And we see a dramatic increase in number one risk of sitting for too long actually has to do with the digestive system. We see a dramatically increased risk in gastrointestinal cancers and gastrointestinal disorders. That's the biggest risk. We also see effects on the heart and effects on the lungs because what are we doing when we're sitting? We're leaning forward. And you guys can do this with me on Facebook if you want, but here in the room, everybody drop your chin down to your chest. Take a deep breath in. Everybody sit up straight and tall, head up, shoulders back. How much more air did you get in by sitting up? About 60% more is what the research shows us. You can actually measure the lung volume change, and it has nothing to do with the anatomical space inside and everything to do with the neurological response to having your head sitting on all these nerves here that run out to the lungs. So it's a neurological response to doing that happens when you're sitting in front of a computer. And so the number one thing I can tell you guys to be healthier is don't just sit for an hour. Get up every 30, 45 minutes, do something else. Go, and instead of, calling somebody or texting somebody, get up and walk around, walk over to them if you're in an office setting and actually have that face-to-face interaction. So don't be sedentary. It's the number one thing I can teach you. And the study that found all the risky, detriments of sitting for that long, it actually controlled for exercise and didn't see any correlation with exercise at all. But if you get up, you don't sit for an hour straight, you do much, much better. So the problem, though, isn't just with the sitting. It is the sedentary lifestyle. We're not getting enough exercise. We absolutely aren't. Our bodies require it, genetically require it, cellularly we require it. And so we have to overcome a mindset of this. We have these thoughts here. I don't know where to start. Which exercise is best for me? Well, let me answer that question really quick. Anything. Anything is better for you than nothing. If
Yeah.
you're doing something, it's better than nothing. The second thing, gyms are too expensive. Well, no offense to how it works. Love how it works.
Hey, we're one of the cheapest in town.
I know.
don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, but you don't always necessarily need a gym either, right? You just go outside and walk. Walk, it's hot enough today, you break a sweat really easy, right?
Right.
Just start somewhere, and then when you get fit enough, go break a sweat how it works. It's too difficult. You guys have starter level classes.
We sure do.
They have anybody older than people in this room working out in them?
We sure do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely we do. Nothing's too difficult if you start at the appropriate level. So I don't feel like it. No, I can't change the way that you feel, but you can. You know, a mindset, you know, what you tell yourself is always the truth. If you say, I don't feel like exercising, you're right. You don't feel like exercising, but you're reinforcing that. Start saying to yourself, I do feel like exercising. Or maybe I don't feel like exercising because you have this mindset of I have to go lift weights or I have to run on a treadmill for an hour. I don't feel like doing that. But maybe it would be nice to take a walk outside with the kids. Maybe it'd be nice to work in the yard for a little bit. Maybe it'd be nice to play a game of tag with, you know, one of these little ones that are around. Yeah, maybe that would be fun. And if you can get your mind around that, then you can get your mind around a few other things. And I don't have time. Research shows us that you only need 6 minutes of intense workout to get a metabolic effect that can last you as long as 36 hours. So if you can find 6 minutes, you can make it worth your while as far as exercise goes. So, problem with motivation, though, is that willpower is an exhaustible resource. How do I know that? Because I've exhausted it a lot. The more tired you are, the more exhausted, the more fatigued you are, the less likely you are to succeed in hitting a goal with just willpower alone. And they actually found this in a room. They actually had kids in a room, and they said, if you don't touch the candy, like, don't touch the candy now, you get the whole bowl when we're done. You get the whole bowl when you're done. Guess how many of them gave in? All of them took one. Yeah. Even knowing that they wouldn't get it eventually. But when they gave the kid a little, they gave the kid an opportunity to have one and said, you can have just one, and then you can have the whole bowl at the end of the time.
Like water.
They succeeded at a high greater rate. So I'm not saying give in. What I'm saying is it's an exhaustible resource. Your willpower, it is limited. And so willpower alone isn't enough to get you there with whatever your health goal is, whether it's to lose weight or to get in shape or, you know, any of your health goals, get your blood pressure down, get your cholesterol levels down, any of those things. It has to be something bigger, and it has to be a habit. We have to create habits. So we have to start by addressing the excuses. We have to address them head on. The things that you know are going to keep you from getting the exercise that you know that you need, we have to address those habits. And maybe it's not fighting them directly, but it's finding a way around them to creating a habit that supports a healthy lifestyle. Right? So the benefits of exercise. Let's see, because it's definitely worth the investment that you put in. So number one, exercise helps support a healthy weight. We know this, right?
Right.
You know, Michelle Obama. You know, when her husband took office, she made it her goal to transform the school system because of our obesity problem. And she was going to undo all the school lunches because pizza shouldn't be considered a vegetable, right?
Right.
And where she landed was that, you know, because of all the politics behind the food industry, you know, it was far easier to get kids exercising, get kids moving. So she started that up. But we know that, you know, when you exercise, when you move, you can support a healthy weight. It's just genetic. We need that. It may help boost the mood. So we put may on here because no research is 100%, right? But what we do know is that in the research studies that we have on exercise and depression, that exercise performed better than the drug control. The antidepressant and the anti-anxiety meds did not perform as well in the study as exercise did. Can you believe that? It's pretty incredible because boosting your brain has less to do with the lack of medication than it does with what you're actually doing to provide health for it. And your brain needs blood, and your brain needs oxygen. How do you get blood and oxygen to your brain? You move. You move. That's what provides that. Builds and strengthens muscles, yeah, obviously. Boosts energy levels. Yeah, by making yourself more tired, your energy levels go up. May not feel like it if it's 11 o'clock at night and you haven't exercised yet. But yeah, after bedtime just ended. Helps decrease the risk of disease. Yeah, we see that. People that exercise regularly, people that move regularly, they have lower risk of cardiovascular disease. They have lower risk of cancers, lower risk for diabetes. And so we definitely want to add this in as an essential. So high intensity exercise is something different. And this is something that I think we should all set as a goal. And it's because the benefits of high intensity exercise actually far outweigh even just the benefits of regular exercise. So by getting your heart rate up, and I'm not saying up for a long time, but sometime, even just 20 seconds at a time, we can actually optimize our hormones, and specifically the hormones that are there for fat burning and muscle building. Hormones such as human growth hormone. Hormones that athletes like to illegally supplement with, our bodies produce on their own when we work out high intensity. Hormones such as testosterone, what some people would call steroids if you were to get an injection in your arm or shoulder with this thing. It actually helps to build muscle, but if you allow your body to do it, does that. Those hormones actually increase fat burning. Those hormones actually boost muscle building. So I want to highlight this real quick. It's called the afterburn effect. So if you exercise any form, your metabolic rate goes up. And then after you stop exercising, it drops down. This is an example of classic cardio. Nothing wrong with classic cardio. You get this much metabolism over that time span. So that's about an hour. For 12 minutes of high intensity metabolic training, metabolic conditioning, you get this level of metabolic effect, and that's actually 36 hours. So it's much greater if you can actually get your heart rate to that level. So what is that heart rate? Yeah. What it is getting you to 80% of your max heart rate and keeping it there for at least 20 seconds, and then dropping off for about 20 seconds, then going back to it over and over again. It's going to increase your oxygen consumption. By increasing your oxygen consumption, you're actually going to expedite the function of your body for that next 36 hours. And so your energy levels come up for that 36 hours because you're getting that oxygen in there, right? And so this EPOC is what it's called, but it's excess post-exercise oxygen consumption is what that study showed us. So in the office, we've developed a program called Max T3. It's very similar to many high-intensity interval trainings out there, but we do it in 12 minutes at a time. And so the T3 stands for three things. It's time, number one. We're limiting that time to 12 minutes. And while we're doing that, we're doing a specific type. We're doing that high intensity, and we're keeping that tempo up, and we're keeping that regular. So you can do that in our classic style. Classic is the super fast. You're doing 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, aiming for 100% of your max heart rate for 20 seconds, and then giving yourself a 20-second break. Or you're doing the fast style, where you're going a minute on at about 80% of your max heart rate, and then you're giving yourself a minute break to let your heart rate come down. Either way, you're going to get that same style where you build up those anabolic hormones. That anabolic hormone production is going to burn fat and it's going to build muscle. And then there's also inhibiting the catabolic hormones that build fat and waste muscle. And this is actually one of the problems with classic cardio. Anytime you go beyond 30 minutes of working out, classic cardio style, or really any hard work where you're not taking rests in between, you're going to increase the load of some of those catabolic hormones, such as cortisol. Cortisol is a great example. Most people recognize it as a stress hormone released from your adrenal glands when you're in fight or flight mode. So basically, by working out for longer than 30 minutes, you put yourself into fight or flight mode. Doesn't mean that the exercise is bad for you, but it becomes less beneficial for you than if you had stopped at 30 minutes. And so there's no need to go beyond 30 minutes. We keep ourselves in that right shape. So Max T3 does that. I know you guys do 30-minute classes.
We also do 12-minute classes.
And 12-minute classes. Absolutely. And you can do that in any style. We do here in the office, we have the free class on Wednesday where we do the high intensity, but then on Friday, we do more of the yoga style stretching. You know, the max flex is what we call it. Not this kind of flex, but keeping that flexibility. Absolutely. And you guys have way more You know, it's not availability. We just do those 2 classes a week. But yeah, definitely monitor your heart rate. One of the things that I found is that if I'm keeping track of what my heart's doing, I'm actually much more invested in the workout. So I actually bought a heart rate monitor and I got an app for it, the one that syncs with my phone. And so, you know, when I was doing it, and I thought I was going out for a jog and I was really working myself hard, what I found is I was only hitting about 60% of my max heart rate because I thought I was working out hard. But what my body is capable of and what my brain tells me I'm doing are 2 very different things. We're not going to put ourselves through the paces or work ourselves hard unless we actually know what the goal is. And if we're aiming for heart rate, we kind of need a heart rate monitor to do that. Now, I bought one that straps under your chest because it's a little bit more accurate. You can do that with one of the Fitbits because it also measures pulse there as well. And by measuring that so directly, you can actually start to see the function of your vagus. If you get the right app to help you monitor it, the vagus nerve is responsible for the resting heart rate. It's responsible for so many different things digestively as well. It's this blue nerve. You guys have heard my story. It's the one that controls the lungs that I had such a problem with breathing with. But if you have a heart rate monitor, you can actually measure vagal tone, which is actually one of the best measurements of health. Hi, buddy. Are you tired? Should we exercise you? No. All right, let's keep going. Keep going. Did I not undo that? Because I'm still in there. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind, though, is that you want to protect your joints while you're exercising. You know, there's 2 different types of exercises and pretty much in how they affect your joints. The first is your high impact exercises. High impact exercises are defined as exercises where both feet leave the floor simultaneously. So running, you guys may not realize this, both feet are off the ground at the same time for a lot of impact. And so that does create impact on the joints. This can, over time, start to wear the joints down. The other form is low impact. This is where at least 1 foot is on the floor at all times. And so there are also no impact exercises, things such as swimming, where no feet leave the floor, right? Because you're submerged in water, there's basically 0 gravity. Exercises performed in 0 gravity would be no impact, and so they have a net 0 effect. Biking is another net 0 effect because you're not actually putting that impact into the joints. But there is a role that chiropractic plays in this, and this is actually not, it goes beyond neurological, right? Because we have this thing, this study called biopsychology. And biopsychology basically being a neurological study of how all these anatomical and physiological processes impact the way that we think. And really, chiropractic has way more to do with impacting the health of the nervous system, affecting how you think, than it does on any sort of neck pain, back pain, or headaches, or at least that's what I found in my experience. People walk out of here feeling way better, not because their pain's gone, but because their stress levels are down, because they start thinking positively about themselves. That's why I work so hard to create a healing environment, an atmosphere, you know, where people want to be. And so one of the things that I give you guys, though, a very important part of your fitness routine is the wobble disc, right? And I probably should have left them on the chairs for you guys.
Yeah.
Keep your spines moving. But yeah, when I give you these, I'm actually giving you these because our spine specifically requires that we go through all the ranges of motion at least twice a day. At least twice a day. And what that is for is actually for a fluid exchange between your spinal cord and between the brain. It's surrounded by cerebrospinal fluid and blood's pumped through there as well. It requires motion to make the exchange between the brain and the spinal cord with enough pressure to get the filtration between the blood to the cerebrospinal fluid and back again, so that we can get metabolic waste products just from you thinking during the day and oxygen back into the brain. And so wobble exercise is great. The other thing it's great for is that every joint in your spine is required for your brain to function. In fact, 90% of the energy that you produce in your brain is there because of the movement of your spine. So if you do not move your spine, your brain doesn't get the ATP it requires. But if you do move your spine, then it actually allows for that fluid exchange and the ATP to be produced. ATP being that energy. And so we need that. And the wobble disc is there for you to be able to do that. That's why we give one to every single patient that comes through here, right? And hopefully you guys are doing it every day, twice a day, right? Absolutely. So, and it also makes sitting an active experience. I recommend anybody that works at a desk job, take this with them. Sit there. Anybody that's taking a long road trip, provided you're not so tall that your head hits the ceiling, sit on it during the road trip. It actually encourages movement of your spine while you're stuck in the car. But it also fights subluxation. So subluxation being any joint that's restricted in motion. The restriction in motion decreases the ATP, but it also inhibits the brain from being able to communicate with the organs on the other end, especially at the level at which it's restricted. And so these are some of the most common warning signs of a subluxated joint. If it's fixed, we see this affected. It can create headaches, it can create menstrual problems, it can create high blood pressure, depression, numbness, tingling, sciatica, low back pain, and that's just the first column. You know, you keep going, and what you see is that movement in the spine, or a lack thereof, can be related to just about any health problem that we're dealing with, especially as people that live in the modern United States. Now, nutrition. You want to set yourself up for success with your nutrition when it comes to exercise. So we want to eat right before, and we want to eat right afterwards, and we want to set ourselves up for success. If weight loss is one of your goals of fitness, then it's about 70% of the fitness. Exercise is still an important part. That's more than 25%, but you have to set yourself up for success with that nutrition. So before a workout, number one, I recommend that if you're going to eat, you keep it 2 to 3 hours before a workout. Then get a well-balanced meal. If you're going to have a meal, get healthy carbs, healthy source of protein, and a healthy source of fat. That doesn't mean potato chips and a Chick-fil-A sandwich, right? No, that's not what I'm talking about. No, get a salad in there. Get your carbs from the greens. Get a lean source of meat, ideally one that was naturally raised, and then get something like avocado, or slather it in olive oil or coconut oil, one of the healthy fats. That's going to give yourself the resources that you need to build yourself up. All of these foods out here are great examples of that. You can do all those. If, however, you live a very busy life or have small children and you don't always get to think about when you eat in relation to when you work out, if you're going to work out less than 30 minutes before a workout, aim for something that's easily digestible. A smoothie would be a great example. You can get a balanced smoothie that's easy to digest, because why? It's pre-digested for you, right? And it usually only takes about 5 minutes to make. If you're smart, you put one in the blender before you go to bed, put it in the fridge, and then make it when you need it. Just pull it out. Don't let it sit there for more than 2 days. And don't blend it before you go to bed, otherwise it separates and it doesn't taste as good, and it gets pre-digested. But another example would be an unsweetened applesauce, easily digestible. Bananas, very low in fiber, but really high in sugar, so it's going to give you an easy to digest energy source. Oranges are another one. It doesn't have much fiber in there and a lot of natural sugars in there, but also hydration. Most of us are dehydrated, especially if we're skipping meals because the kids take priority, right? Yeah, welcome to small children life, right? So what we should be getting as far as hydration is half your body weight in ounces of water. Half your body weight in ounces of water. So I'll throw myself under the truck. I'm 220 pounds, right? So I should be getting 110 ounces of water every single day. At 110, I'm hydrating myself enough to do whatever I need to do. Less than that, I'm going to start to struggle with hydration. And that's going to affect my disc health. That's going to affect my cardiovascular health, even if I'm doing everything else right. So make sure that you're getting enough water in this process. So during workout, we want to do two things. Number one, we want to hydrate, but we also want to replenish the electrolytes that we're utilizing. So if you're getting a 15 to 20 minute workout, you should be aiming for about 4 to 6 ounces. If you're heavier, if you're on the heavier side, aim for that 6 ounces. If you're lighter, aim for that 4 ounces. Just keep yourself up and you'll consume more in that short period of time because you're burning more. You're going through that water a little faster. Problem is though, we've been marketed a bunch of sports drinks. Why? Because of electrolytes. You all heard the story of Gatorade, and they're not wrong, right? You do need electrolytes. What is electrolytes? Basically salts. And so what you can do, and I've got a great homemade recipe for this. Instead of getting high fructose corn syrup, instead of putting food dyes in there, instead of putting refined sugar, artificial flavors, or artificial sweeteners, you go ahead and you get I think like 20 ounces of water. You put about a tablespoon of raw honey in there. And you put just a dash of sea salt. And then some lemon juice. And if you want to add some probiotics and prebiotics to it, do a little apple cider vinegar as well. Not much, maybe a teaspoon. But it's actually going to bring out the sweetness of that raw honey. You can do stevia as well, but stevia is not going to give you the energy. It's not going to replace the electrolytes as well. So that's a great way to replace the sports drinks. When I cut out sodas, I also cut out Gatorade. You know, it's just not good for you. It's got, you know, when you look at the ingredients list, it's got some flame retardants in there that they don't even allow in Europe. So yeah, we just don't need that. We don't need that at all. After a workout, all we want to do is we want to get a balanced meal of healthy carbs, protein, and fat. So very similar to what you ate 2 to 3 hours before you work out, if you're able to do it. And then try to eat within 45 minutes. You don't want to eat right away. But if you're going out, and let's say you're ordering a salmon salad from one of the restaurants, and you sit down 30 minutes after your workout, that's actually a great time because they'll bring out the food within that time period for you to start to replace that. And now protein is actually a very important part of this. You do want a source of protein here because very often what you're doing during the workout is you're actually creating micro tears in the muscle fibers. That's how you get stronger, is by creating micro tears. That's really the soreness that you feel the day or two after is micro tears in the muscle fibers. So a little bit of soreness is good, but if you give yourself those amino acids for your body to repair itself, you end up building that muscle much quicker and you feel less sore afterwards. And so when you're talking about, you know, building muscle mass, which not everybody wants mass here, but everybody wants to repair damaged muscle tissue, you are talking about adding in a supplement very often, unless you can get to a very easily digestible protein source. Now you can do that with things like black beans, you can do that with things like brown rice, you can do that with an egg, or you can do that with some other things, but building muscle mass is very key to this. So we do have supplements available for people after they work out. So these are the things that we have. Number one is the Max Fit. Max Fit is one that you can use whether you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to gain muscle. Either way, but it supports a healthy metabolism. Number two is the Strength and Recovery Complex. Basically, it's the branched chain amino acids with a few electrolytes in it to help you recover from a workout fast. And then number three is whichever protein here works best for you. So we've got the Pure Fat protein, and that's actually my preferred one as far as flavor goes. And also, you don't like protein?
Picture behind you.
You don't like this picture? No, well, you don't have to. It's okay. You want Daddy to hold you, or you want to go play with the kids? Let me hold you. You my baby girl. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
I got you. That's a quick
He's
trip.
heavy.
So I like this one too if you're dealing with. I got it.
What's your name?
No, I need it. I need it.
What's your
Luker.
name?
Can I hold my hand? Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Luker.
So coming from bone broth, it's actually really good for the digestive system. It has a lot of things like collagen in it. This actually has a little bit of healthy fat inside of it. The rest of the protein powders don't have any fat, or really, really low quality or low levels of fat. So you got the plant protein if you're looking for a more vegan source. It is vegan. It's not just, vegetarian. It's actually vegan. It's all sources of plant. That's my least favorite as far as taste, but it's adequate and it's better than most of the other plant proteins I've ever tasted. So not a high bar there, but it is a quality source of protein if you're looking for a plant-based. The next one would be our whey protein. Whey protein is the most researched form of protein out there, but it is coming from dairy. And so if you're like me and you're sensitive to alpha-1 casein, you might also be sensitive to the whey protein as well. It's lactose-free, so if you are lactose intolerant, you should be fine with it. But if you have that milk allergy at all, you may want to avoid this one. But it is good. I love the flavor of it as well. And actually, one of the things I do if I accidentally skip breakfast is I'll put a scoop of this in my coffee,
Oh,
and it'll melt into my coffee pretty well. and I'll actually put a little bit of coconut oil in there as well. So then I get a more balanced breakfast, even if I am drinking it, even if I don't have time to make a smoothie. So that's a great way to do it. But then another way to protect the joints, and some of you have been put on my joint health plan because of ligaments or damaged joints. This is great because number one, we've got one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories, antioxidants out there in curcumin. Now, our formula is mixed with an activated black pepper extract that actually makes the curcumin more bioavailable for you to absorb and take to the joints that you need. The next one is a Max Collagen. This is a powder, and this is specifically type B collagen that you do find in the joints, but you combine that with joint health. Joint health actually has type 1 collagen, or type A collagen, sorry. I need that. Oh, and then the recipe. Has the type 1 collagen as well as other things that your joints require in order to help build them up. And so if you're looking for anything to help with joints, this is a great protocol to get on to help support those. The next one is our recipe book. We actually have this as a support for healthy workout lifestyle. Those are available for pre-order tonight. So sweating, we have to talk about sweating, right? Some of you on Facebook may have questions about sweating. This is an important part of exercise. If you're working out and you're not sweating, that's a problem. We need to sweat. Sweating is part of a natural detoxification process. It's also your body's way of cooling itself off. And so if, number one, you're overheated, or number two, you're too toxic, your body will start to sweat in excess. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's the right thing happening at the right time. But if it's happening a lot, and not just because you're out in 95-degree weather, it creates, a little bit of a red flag for us. And so we want to look at that. What is coming out with that? Well, water is coming out, salt's coming out, sugar is coming out with that, and chemicals that we've been exposed to there. And so you want to replace those first three while also making sure that we're minimizing that fourth one, because the fourth one can also make you sweat as well. So it releases those toxins, so we do want to incorporate that as a natural part of our workout routine. That's another reason why I encourage the high intensity interval training as well. But if you're working out and you're not inducing a sweat, then we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. Or there's a problem there where your sweat glands are inhibited. And we need to look at that as well. So if you're working out hard enough and you're not sweating, let me know. We'll work for that. So yeah, absolutely. We need to get that sweat out. If you can't sweat, that's a problem. And then we do need a healthy mindset towards exercise. Remember, don't rely on your motivation when it comes to this. You have to create those healthy habits, which is why I have it in my schedule, right? I have it on my Wednesday. I have it on my Friday. The only time I miss it is if something that's really urgent or super important comes up. And not like, oh, I need to take a bubble bath right now, right? Oh, I should really call my mom right now. Which, yes, Mom, if you're watching, I do need to call you. But don't skip your exercise for that part of the process. So have a healthy mindset. So your action step today, start somewhere. If it's just saying, I'm going to carve out 15 minutes for a walk 3 days a week, that's great. If it's, I'm going to come and join the exercise class here. If it's, I want to sign up for an exercise class at HotWorks and see if that's the right environment for me, great. Just do something. It's always applying one thing today. We teach these classes once a month, and I know Monday nights are starting to get late. It's going to start getting darker here in a minute. Well, guess what? Football season's canceled, so I'm going to be taking your Saturday now instead of football. So I know, it's a really sad thing, but ultimately, if you already carved out Saturday and then you need to fill it with something, let's put health in there. So we're going to be having the classes on Saturdays now instead of Monday nights, so that you guys don't have to stay here so late. This doesn't interfere with bedtime at all. I can help out with bedtime at home more regularly. And we'll do that through the entire fall, or at least until they bring football.
Right.
And so we're trying to motivate Scott Frost here. So Scott, if you're watching, get football going again. So yeah, start with something.
Right.
Start today. Every day that we put this off makes it less likely that we're going to be trying to win. So do something. Thanks for coming out, guys. Definitely help yourselves some more. And yeah, 15% off everything tonight. And if you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, and you want to take advantage of that 15%, you can just comment below, and we'll get in touch with you and make sure that we get you that discount as well. Yep.
All right.
Any questions for me?
No.
All right, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get some food. Thanks for coming.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah.